Hello and welcome to the webinar on Twitter. Twitter's got a lot of new elements happening right now, and I'd like to share them with you. Twitter used to be my poison. I used to be probably mainly on Twitter compared to LinkedIn or Facebook when I want to say 10 years ago. And now I kind of left Twitter behind. But recently, I've been going back to it and noticing I really like the new features. So we'll see what happens. They still have a large number of people on Twitter, certainly not as many as Twit as Instagram or Facebook, but they still are a contender. They're one of the top five still. So if you happen to be in politics, or you happen to be a news outlet, or you happen to be someone that wants to be an authority in a certain industry and you'd like to be known as the place to go for certain topics, for your topic, then you may want to be on Twitter. So let me just go through, I'm going to go through the elements today, what's new on Twitter, some best practices. I'm not going to do too much on management and measurement because we have a whole webinar next week on that, and a little bit on events, how to manage an event better with Twitter. And then I'm also going to share with you a little bit on what I'm going to be doing in 2021 virtual trade shows webinars. So I'll share that with you. So let me just move forward here. So I have a contest going on. If you tweet out the fact that you're on this webinar with me, and during the webinar, or even if you're watching this later, and you tweet out that maybe a photo of us talking together or just some of the quotes from my webinar, and what you're going to do is use my handle at 123 Digital Power, and then what you're going to do is be entered into a contest for an hour of time with me live one-on-one. So I look forward to doing that, and I'll probably draw once a quarter from everyone that enters. So I look forward to doing that. Okay, so webinar. So today, just to let you know, Twitter is a real-time social media platform. It's almost like texting the world, if you want to think about it. Like, what is Twitter? It's really kind of like texting the world with one message. So the tweet can be maximum 280 characters, which allows you to be short and concise, to the point. You want to include hashtags in those 280 characters. You can attach a photo, you can attach a video. So those are kind of things that you can do. But you can actually get a lot of miles out of in Twitter with just text compared to Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, where having a photo really helps. And on Twitter, you can also link to your website. So it could be text with a link included, and it can link right to your website or to an event registration page. So Twitter, the demographics on Twitter are as such. They're pretty much, I don't know if you want to say they're kind of under 49. If you want to say that, that's where we're at on Twitter. And I don't know how true that is, because I see a lot of business leaders on Twitter. So I don't know about, maybe it's different in the rest of the world, but I'm finding in the areas I work in across Canada, the people that are on Twitter are often older, over 45, versus what these are suggesting that they're under 45. So I think you need to check the pulse of your own target market and see if they're where they are. Income levels, and this I agree with, that the income levels on Twitter are higher than many other platforms. 75K or more is what I'm finding is on Twitter. So I'm finding that Twitter has a higher income level on it because they're politicians, they're news people, they're professionals. So I'm finding that is true. So let me just move this over a little bit. What I wanted to share with you is, this was from a workshop I did not too long ago, and what we were talking about here is how they have three different divisions, and it made sense for them to have three different Twitter accounts with their own logos and their own titles and their own handles. So this one has a handle as PTBO County EM, which is emergency services. This one is PTBO. PTBO stands for Peterborough, short form, paramedics. And then this one is PTBO County. So they all roll up to Peterborough County, but it made sense that their one handle had a lot of information about what's happening in county services. The other one was emergency services, and the other one was paramedics. So very different as far as what they were talking about. And then once in a while, they would share each other's posts or tweets. So you can see they all look different. They've all got their own logos. They've all got their own covers, and they've all got their own bios. And these are the elements of your Twitter account. I'll go over that in a little bit more detail. So you kind of take a step back and you think, how many Twitter handles does my company need? Does it make sense to have one, or does it make sense to have multiple ones? Most of us, it makes sense to have one. I have two, one for my business at 123 Digital Power, and I have one for me, Sophie Andrell. That one, if I'm doing something that's personal that I would like to get out there on Twitter, I'll use Sophie Andrell. If it's something business related or community related that is affiliated with my business somehow, then I'm going to use 123 Digital Power. We have other things that we work on, like at FemSteam PTBO, which is an entity to itself, so that has its own. So you can see how that works. So a question I have for you: if someone tweets this out, your two users, and the person that handle is right here, say they have just 1,000 followers. I happen to have 4,000, but say it's 1,000 followers, and you happen to have 1,000 followers, and you tweet at 123. That should be 123 Digital Power. Is an awesome digital marketing trainer, basically our digital maven. Thank you. So if you tweeted that out and you have 1,000 followers and I have 1,000 followers, how many people do you think that's going to go to before there's any engagement? How many people do you think that's going to go to before there's any engagement? So do you think it's 0? Do you think it's 2? 1,002? So all the people that follow you plus yourself and the person you're tweeting about? Or is it going to go to all of my followers and all of your followers and ourselves? So the answer is actually only 2. And why is that? Why do you think that is? It's because this person, you, started the tweet with my handle. So Twitter thinks you're just replying. So it's going to go to you and me, and that's all. So that's one of the biggest mistakes people make in Twitter, is that they start someone's a tweet or someone's handle. You can have the handle in here anywhere you want. You can even just start this with a period, as this one shows, 123. Oh my goodness, Digital Power started with a period, and you're going to end up seriously going out to, how many do you think now? 0, 2, 1,002, or 2,002? It's going to go out to 1,002, all of your followers and yourself and myself, because we're saying we don't have any of the same followers. If we had 500 of the same followers, it would actually go out to 1,502. So that's another little twist. So I just wanted to share that with you. So whoops. So the answer is 1,002. Okay. So this is, I was training this team who supports Miriam Monsef the other day, and I thought, well, I'm going to use her Twitter profile to show you the elements of Twitter. You have a cover. So what you think about, what do I want people to know about me? What would I put in this cover? So you have a cover, you have your logo, which is going to be consistent all the way through with your logo. As far as people have attention spans of gnats, your logo is all they're going to see next to a tweet. So you want to make sure that that's something that makes sense and it's consistent. Your handle, in her case, it's Miriam Monsef, at Miriam Monsef. So that's a unique handle. Only one person in the world can have the handle. So as soon as someone, if your name is John Smith, you're out of luck because someone already has that handle. So you have to be creative in creating your handle. That becomes then the URL that clicks to links to your Twitter account, twitter.com / in this case, Miriam Monsef. And then you put your name on there as well, whatever you like your name to be. And then you have a bio. And in the bio, often people will add a Twitter hashtag, a hashtag that defines who they are, which industry they're in, or maybe which community they're in. We're going to talk more about hashtags later. So a lot of people do that. In my case, I have that powered by at Sophie Andrell. So in my bio, I link it back to my personal one as well. And in my personal one, I link it to my business one so people know that I have a business if they're on my personal one. And if they're on my business one, I don't mind if they go over to my personal one because that's normally about me walking my dogs or kayaking or doing some hike somewhere in the world. So it's pretty cool. So then you're going to see how many followers they have, 45,000 followers. Then you're going to see their tweets, their replies, the medias, and things that they've liked. So if you look at mine, what I suggest for people, I have the same philosophy for your cover on Twitter as I do for your LinkedIn cover. That philosophy is you should think about what do you want people to know about you and see if you can put those in separate photographs, separate images on your cover. Here they know I do webinars. Here they know I have a team. Here they know I do on-site photography. So here, that's just me. So that's kind of how you may want to think about your cover. And then your logo would be whatever your logo is across all of your platforms. And then my title is 123 Digital Power by Sophie Andreu, Masters of Engineering. So I do by Sophie Andreu because my company's name used to be my name. So I'm kind of doing this transition where 123 Digital Power is the company and I'm just a person in it, which is kind of cool. So then as you can see, digital solutions and marketing agency services training brought to you by Sophie Andreu. You click on that, you go back to my personal one. We love helping you succeed. We're a proud digital Main Street vendor because we're also a digital Main Street vendor. So you can see what I did there. I have two different handles in my bio. And my bio right now is the maximum number of characters because I used to have in there hashtag Sophie Marketing Training or digital marketing training. So I ran out of room when I added the digital Main Street vendor. So that's something that you need to decide what you're going to put in your few characters. Then you're able to put in an area if you want. So I put in Canada, your website. It automatically indicates when you've joined. And then obviously it's got your tweets and your replies, your media and your likes. If you want to edit your profile, you're going to click on edit, and we're going to show you that in a little bit right now. So when you edit your profile, it looks a little bit different. If you've been on Twitter for a while, they've changed many elements of it that I'll show you in a little bit, but they've also changed just the input, the user interface. It's a lot more user-friendly now. So it's where you're putting in your title. Your bio is only 160 characters, so you can see I'm at the max. You would just fill in your bio. There's nothing new or hard about that. So there's some tools on the side here. So you're going to notice when you log into your Twitter, it's a different layout than it was before. All of these used to be on top. Now they're just on the side. So you can see your home. That's where you're going to see everybody that is tweeting that you're following. That's where you're going to see all of their tweets. Explore. It's going to share with you things that it thinks you should know about based on your behavior. It's also going to let you search for different hashtags. Okay, and what comes up when I'm talking about this are people's tweets. They're tweets that it being Twitter, thinks you might need to know. So it's a really good, useful tool that way where you can really be the engineer or the facilitator of knowledge in your industry. You click on that and go, yeah, this is relevant. No, I'm not going to retweet that. I'm not going to retweet that. Yeah, this is relevant. I'm going to retweet it and I'm going to comment or something. So that's one of the places you can find content. Notifications, when you click on that, that's anyone who's trying to get your attention. They can either be tweeting and using your handle in a tweet, so they're trying to tag you in a tweet, or they've tagged you in a photo. So you may want to look at it and see if you want to reply, see if you want to retweet. So there's notifications. So if you've been to any of my other webinars in the past, I always suggest if you only have a few minutes, first thing you're going to do is look at your notifications so you're responsive. So you're going to reply, you're going to retweet, you're going to just comment, or you're just going to like it. If you're deciding that I don't have anything to say right now, you could just show a little bit of love and like it. So you're going to do that by looking at your notifications. The next one under here is if anyone's messaged you. Perhaps someone is trying to get your attention by messaging you directly. You have to follow them for them to be able to message you. So not anyone can message you. That might have changed recently in the settings. I'd have to look at that. And then I'm going to show you lists. Lists are something that are very valuable, and a lot of people are not using them like they could. So I'm going to specifically dive into lists a little bit. And then I'm going to show you a bit more on more. There, they have some new things that I can't wait to share with you. So why are lists important? So the lists are something that I'd like to share with you. Why do you think they're important? So lists are important because it helps you kind of group. Maybe you have resources you'd like your public to know about. So you can, and they happen to each have different Twitter handles. So you can have a list of maybe social media platforms that you recommend, or you have a list of writers that you recommend. So whatever it is that you think you could gather together that gives you more, gives your audience more resources, that's perfect. Or perhaps you'd like to showcase your clients, the work you're doing with your clients, and you'd like to put them on a list. So there's different things that you can think about as to what you'd want to put on a list. Perhaps you have a conference coming up, a virtual conference or a live conference in the future, and you'd like to put all of your sponsors together on a list. And maybe you'd like to put all your exhibitors together on a list so someone can come to your Twitter handle and see those. That's really cool. What I do when I go to a conference, I look to see who is going to be attending that conference, and I create a Twitter list of them, and I'm going to show you why that's important in a second. Why? Because it helps you listen strategically. While I'm at the conference, I want to know if anybody, any of my friends that are already there, all the other booths that are there, or the other sponsors that are there, depending how I'm attending that conference, if they have a giveaway, I might retweet it. If they're sharing some knowledge at the conference, I might retweet that. Why? Because I'd like them to retweet me back. So I strategically create a list and leverage and use that list when it's appropriate. So it keeps you sane. It's easy to manage. This is why you use lists. You might decide that you have content that you'd like to use by a specific list of giants. So you can get a list on just those giants. Maybe your community of interest. Maybe you live in a location that you'd like to see a list and create a list of those people that you watch in that community for information. So there's a number of different reasons why you want to have a list. So basically what you do is you go to your tools on the side and you click on lists. If you don't have any, you can create one by doing this plus up here. If you have any, they all come up. You can see my list right here. And so when you click on them, anybody that you've added to that list is there. So let's see, right here, if I click on this list, if I want to edit the list, this one happens to be an old conference I went to way back in 2018, and it's showing me that the description was the businesses at the PTBO Chamber Love Local Expo 2018, and let's see, so I click on it, 60 members. So these were people that were there in booths at this conference. So I made a list of them. Now, what I really like about lists, and it's something that I think is new, or I've only noticed it now, but when you click on suggest, it watches what you were watching on that list, the type of people that were on that list, the type of accounts, and it suggests for you other similar people who have accounts that you might want to add to that list. So it doesn't know that this was actually an expo that I went to, a conference, and it was specific people, it being Twitter. It's just seeing how they behave. So now, years after the conference, I don't necessarily need to have a list of that conference anymore. I might want to look at this and add some of these people to that actual list. And I'd probably change it from being PTBO Expo 2018 to just PTBO business people, because that's what it looks like it's showing me here. So pretty cool, right? So I can have this list. It's very neat. So my question to you, do you think lists are public or private? So what do you think about that? You create this great list, you've done all this work. Do you think it's public or private? Well, your lists are up to you if you're going to make them public or private. So in the case of all of those people in Peterborough, I would probably make that private. In the case of my clients, I'd probably make that private unless I'm showcasing clients. Like I do a lot of case studies, so maybe I'd make the case studies public. But in the case of resources, I definitely make that public. So you got to decide when someone comes to my Twitter account, I'd like them to see some resources I have for them, and maybe you want to make those public. So how many profiles do you think your individual email, you create a Twitter account with a profile, or sorry, with an email. How many Twitter accounts can one email manage, do you think? Do you think it's one, two, three, four, or unlimited like Facebook and LinkedIn? So what do you think? So it's actually one. It's like Instagram. Well, Instagram's done some crazy things now where you can bundle your accounts together. So be careful with those because when you do that, what I'm finding, it makes it difficult to then post directly to um, Facebook. It starts mixing up a little bit. So I digress. But in Twitter, one email, one Twitter account. So that's what you get. So one of the things that are new right now on Twitter, when you're tweeting, it lets you decide who can reply to your tweet. Isn't that interesting? So if you're about to tweet, before you tweet, you can indicate, do you want everyone can reply to this tweet, regardless if they're following me or not, or only those people you follow, or only the people you mention in the tweet. So that's pretty cool, right? So that's brand new on there. So you want to think that through. Sometimes you don't want the world to reply to them. You only want those people. So it really depends on how many followers you have. It depends on the intent of the tweet. So you can attach photos or videos to your tweet, as I said before. So all you do is you go in and you're going to click on tweet, and you're going to, right under this box, it has the symbol of a photo. You click on the symbol of the photo, and what comes up is your drive or your phone, all of the photos on your phone, and you can attach it. Click on this and then attach. Or you can attach a video and you click on the video and you attach. So whoops. So that's how you can attach a photo. Very easy. So in this case, come join me for our weekly webinar, Thursday, 1 p.m. LinkedIn power of Twitter power of Twitter marketing. This is how you register. And what you see here is I've tagged this photo. So in this photo, what I've done is I've indicated there are certain people that I know their members would be interested in this workshop, in this webinar. So I tag them in the photo. So tagging the photos helps you grow your followers. It's huge. Putting the correct hashtag in there helps you grow your reach. So what happens is now one of these people who actually I've tagged might end up retweeting it. And because they have a large number of members, their members trust the fact that my webinar is something of value, so they might attend. So you want to tag strategically. Don't over tag because it's spammy, but that's how you're going to grow, by tagging. Tagging is critical, critical, critical. So what do I want to show you here? Another new thing is there's the alt text description on Twitter photos. When you add the photo, what it shows you when you add the photo is it lets you crop it. When you click on the photo, click on edit, it lets you crop it or add description to it. So what I would do is I would add a description. And what is that for? If someone can't read it, it allows Google to read it. It helps with indexing. It optimizes for search engine optimization the photo. So it's a really good way to do that, to optimize it. Here's another perfect tweet. This tweet was loved 27 times, retweeted 14 times, a lot of comments. So freezing rain, and they tagged different townships. So they did a great job. This was an older one, but I liked it, so I wanted to share it with you. They're giving out timely information that their population and the people they tagged want to know about. Elements of a good tweet. This is a nice one that I did some earlier this year when I was at a workshop, a live workshop back in the day, and indicated what it was. So I've got some keywords in there. But what did I do here? This is a hashtag for the city I was in. So if you can regionalize it with a hashtag, that's awesome. Now you got to think of places like Peterborough, where I live. Peterborough, there are Peterborough cities in the UK. There are Peterborough cities in the United States. So we have a hashtag called PTBO that we use for Peterborough. So in Sarnia, I asked them, what do you use as your local city hashtag? And they happen to use Sarnia. So I use that there. That's awesome. Then this is the team's handle that invited me in to do the workshop, so I used that handle, so that was perfect. And this is the young man that was the president of their Chamber of Commerce, so I tagged him as well. So it was fabulous. So then here I tagged a few other people that I knew were in the audience. So then you can see it was a comment, 4 retweets, 13 likes. So those are some elements of the tweet, and there are 3 photos there. People like to see real photos. So one of the things I wanted to just share with you here was the elements of a perfect tweet. So imagine you have someone that's looking at what you've written. Do you have a photo or image that can help people understand what you meant? That would help. Or a link back to your website. That way you're going to increase the links to your landing page on your site that talks about whatever you're talking about here. Or one of your keywords, because your tweets are search engine optimized when you put in keywords, meaning Google might find your tweet and present that as a search result. Industry hashtags. So I work with a company who is a manufacturer in Canada in the grocery industry. So I'm going to use the hashtags grocery industry in their tweets. I'm also going to use Canadian manufacturer in their tweets because I want them to be known in both those worlds. And regional, like I said, if you happen to know what city you're in, PTBO or PTBO County, you want to use the city proper. Hamilton, for example, if you ask anyone in Hamilton what their hashtag is for their city, they'll let you know. It's a short form of Hamilton with ON after it. Burlington is the same thing, short form of Burlington, ON after it for Ontario. So I suggest you always pose your tweet as a question if you can, or as a headline. So think of it as, what would a newspaper say as a headline? That's how you're proposing your tweets. But what really works well is if you ask a question, because you really do want people to answer. Ask to be retweeted, and don't forget to mention the giant who might retweet it and help you grow. Okay, so let's just continue here. So these are the people that retweeted it. So I look at these and I look at everyone that retweeted this tweet. So I learned going forward that these are my friendlies. There's a township in here. There's another township. So these are friendlies that are actually listening and retweeting. So I'm going to not abuse it, but I'm going to retweet them once in a while. I definitely am going to follow them, and I'm going to try and support them and then tag them every so often. So a perfect tweet could also have a video. Up to 2 minutes and 20 seconds is how long the videos are that you're able to upload to Twitter. And this one was a cute one. It had a lot of retweets. It was the team that worked there. They were singing Merry Christmas to everybody, and it was very personal. Here's another one, another tweet, which just shows that we had tagged a lot of people down here that were interested in what was going on at this panel. And here you can see that it was retweeted 6 times, and there's a lot of reach that happened with this one, and it's showing real people. Okay, so another thing that's kind of new on Twitter is the advanced search. This advanced search has always been there, but it looks a little bit different. So you go to twitter.com/advanced_search, and you can search for keywords, you can search for hashtags, you can search, and all the tweets that contain your search criteria will come up. So again, that's another great way to look for what's going on at that time, and to also look for, it also gives you the ability to search between certain dates. What's cool about that is if you had a conference at a certain date, you can go backwards in time and search for the tweets that happened during that conference. So that's really cool. So, and this is where you're able to also, and this is really new on Twitter, it's you're able to look at and see, so you're able to actually create a poll, which is really cool. So we can create polls, as you know, on stories on Instagram. You can create polls on Facebook. Now you can create polls on Twitter. So which digital marketing webinars would you like to see in my 2021 free Thursday webinar series? And I've indicated Facebook marketing, Twitter marketing, Instagram marketing, or social selling. So I am going to get results from my target audience as to what they'd like to see, which is really cool. What else did I do here to make this a good tweet? I tag different people and industries that I know like taking my webinars, asking them on behalf of their members what they would like to see in a webinar next year. So I'm hoping they're going to retweet it, or at least they're going to answer. So that's pretty cool. So this is brand new on Twitter as well. Twitter scheduling. You can schedule right from Twitter. That's brand new. So it's very cool when you're on Twitter and you're tweeting. So you're about to tweet right there. You can add a photo, you can add a GIF, you can add a poll. That's what these mean. You can add a GIF, happy face. But what you can indicate who's going to reply. As we said, anybody, just those people you follow or just people you mention, those are the options there. But here, very cool, you can click on schedule, and that's what you got to click on schedule before you start writing in there on for your tweet. You click on schedule and you indicate when you want that tweet to go out. So this morning I made sure that there was a reminder to the webinar that went out on Twitter. Very cool, right? The only problem with it is you can't tag a photo on it. You can tag a photo when you're doing a tweet right away, but you can't tag a photo into the future, and I'm not sure why that is. I hope they change that because I really like tagging photos. As you know, that's where all the growth happens. So here's the example. I did the Twitter reminder today happening at 1 o'clock, Twitter seminar, register here, and I indicated when, and I click update and it's scheduled. So you can then go into Twitter just like you could go into Hootsuite or into Facebook, and you can see all your scheduled tweets. So you could sit there and do all your tweets coming up to an event ahead of time, which is great, right from Twitter, instead of having to go to Hootsuite if you're not using something like Hootsuite or Buffer. So that's really cool. So this is another new thing on Twitter. It's called their Media Studio. So their Media Studio, it's under the Tools area. You click on More and you clicked on Media Studio. And what happens here is it shows all of the past media you've pushed out with Twitter, everything you've tweeted in the past, so you can reuse it if you want and share it and send it out again. Or you can upload new media. You can actually use this area to tweet from. You can use this area right there. It says schedule tweets. You can't see it. So if you go to Media Studio, you can actually use this area to do future tweets. And another big thing is this producer. I think that's my next slide. Oh, broadcast. That's my next slide. You can also click on broadcasts, and from broadcasts, you're able to do live broadcasts. So you can see live, scheduled, or embedded broadcasts. So this would be videos like this that you're able to schedule into the future or do right away. So it's like broadcast would be equivalent to a live stream. Very cool, right? So they've got a lot of power happening in Twitter now that wasn't there before. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Twitter audience and who is attracted to Twitter now. So I'm very excited about this. So again, if I'm on the broadcasts, I have no broadcasts coming up, but if I was to click on the Twitter producer, what comes up is broadcasts or sources, and I would be able to create a broadcast. And I can also create a date range as to when I want it to go out. Very cool. So another thing from More, and I'm going to get into this more next week, is the analytics, the measures. I'm pretty sure that's next week is the measures. Right, Ruby? So next week, what you're going to see under Insights, which is new next week, is this, which is really cool. What do you think this is? This actually shows when your target market is online. So that's really cool. So it shows you the darker ones are when more of your target market is online to when no one is online at 2 in the morning. So this helps you understand what day of the week to tweet and what time to tweet. So that's really cool. And then finally, in analytics, that I'm going to show you next week again, is going to be at least the next webinar. What I love about it is you go on, you click on it, and you scroll backwards by month to see what your actual uh, engagement has been, impressions have been, and what your most popular tweet was, and who the top retweeter of yours was, or your top mention. So that's really cool. So it's showing me right here exactly which tweet that I did the best. And then, as you can see, I used all those techniques that I shared with you earlier. I'm congratulating two fabulous people, and I'm using their handles in it. Plus, I'm using the Twitter hashtag that was used at this event, and I tagged a number of people, and this was liked 19 times and retweeted 3 times. So that's really cool. So Twitter analytics, like I said, I'm going to go through that next week, but I just find it really useful because you're able to go back in time in your account and see what performed really well and who are those people that actually supported you. And there's other things I'll show you next week on that front that you're seeing a little bit of here. I'm not going to go through this. If you're one of the people that have the course pack, you'll have access to this. This is how you add a photo and why. This is how you tag a photo. And this is how you add the videos. How long can they be? Should they be? They can only be 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And who to follow. And then we talk about how to manage your Twitter account. This is Hootsuite, but you can use any of the platforms. And what I like to do is I put my lists and I look at my lists in Hootsuite so I can go through my lists and see if there's anything I should reply or respond to. So right in Hootsuite, I'm able to go in and I say, well, I'm going to like this because I want Jen to know that I'm following her still. I'm going to retweet this because I want Keitha to know that because it's something that Keitha's talking about that's really important. So I'm able to go through my lists because I strategically made up lists and reply and respond to them appropriately. So I'm not going to get into this today. Oh yeah, event online marketing best practices. I do want to wrap up with this. So if you have an event that's coming up, whether it's a virtual event or a live event, you want to make sure you've secured all your platforms for your event. So if it's an event you're doing once a year, I suggest you use your own platform for it versus creating a platform that's going to be dead in between the event. If it makes sense that you have enough activity going on at this event that it can have its own account, awesome. But often I find that diffuses or it dilutes your own account. So I suggest you use your account and just have an event happening and indicate that you are hosting that event and have a unique hashtag for the event. So select your hashtag early and use it early. So you're going to select a hashtag search to make sure that you're the only one using it. If your event is going to be unique, if you want a unique hashtag. You can also add industry hashtags to your event. So if you want to be having a unique event hashtag, and maybe maybe you're in the flower business, maybe you want to add florists as another hashtag so other florists can see that this event is going on. But that won't be unique. Anyone using florists around the world, it's going to come up. So that's not unique to your event. That's why you'd want to find something unique to your event. So maybe your event is going to be on April 14th. So maybe your event hashtag is going to be something like flower April 14th. I'm making this up. And so you kind of see how you can shrink that and make it your own for your own event. So for events, for online events or face-to-face events, what you want to make sure is that you secure your platforms. So make sure you've got consistent branding across all your platforms. That's important. And then you can have your event as a subset of your brand. So for example, if I have 123 Digital Power, and if I really wanted to promote my Thursday workshops, I might decide eventually to have an account just for my Thursday workshops. But it doesn't make sense for me. I would rather just have my 123 Digital Power, talk about digital marketing, and when I have a workshop or a webinar, I promote it through that. But say it became something that was larger and larger and had a world of its own, and people just wanted to know about that event, just like they may only want to know about a conference. I might decide, okay, I still want it to be part of my account, but I'm going to give it a unique hashtag so that if anyone wants to know anything about this specific event, which could be a webinar, could be a virtual event, could be a conference, it has a unique hashtag. They go to it and they see everything to do with that event. So we'll talk about that in the next slide. So you also want to, for your event, if you have invited VIP giants, so people that are influencers in your industry, you definitely want to follow and like them and let them know what the hashtag is for your event. Tag them once in a while, so you're hoping they're going to share. If you're going to have sponsors at the event, and I don't think I've listed that there, or boothies at your event, you definitely want to do a list for each of those for your on your Twitter account. You want to schedule traditional and online buzz. So let's just talk about the online buzz. Think about past event photos, past event speakers, put those out there and tag them, and because you're hoping to get more buzz in reality. So biggest thing for events is, what did people learn from your last event, and can you get testimonials and put those out there so people know what to expect at this upcoming event. So that's the big thing. Is a lot of people will focus on getting exhibitors at their event, but they forget to focus on getting attendees to their event. So you really want to let attendees know what they're going to get out of the event and how it's going to benefit them, and put that out there. And I think that's all I'm going to share with you on here. Okay, because we had a whole webinar on just events, so best practices and how to work towards an event, 3 months up to an event, the day of the event, and the days after the event. So one of the big thing I find people are forgetting to do is to share their handles and their hashtags. Don't forget to do that. I'll be going to an event and ask the coordinator of the event the day of the event, what was the hashtag? And they don't know. They're just creating it then and there. You can't do that anymore. You really need to have, the second you decide you're going to create an event, decide what the hashtag for your event is, because that's going to help you track your event. It's going to help promote your event, building towards the event. It's going to help give out contest prizes during the event. It's going to help create a community around your event. So you really want to do that. It's important. So your hashtags, here's an example, an event that just happened a couple months ago, and the hashtag for this event was MC, which was social media, CSI, and you can see during the event, it just that they had 13,000 tweets with over 19 million impressions. What always happens is during an event, you're going to grow your Twitter followers and you're going to grow your impressions. Events are it's just the biggest time for you to really excel and exceed with your followers. So don't forget to really use that handle and hashtags. Let people know what it is ahead of time. And here's just a good example of how effective it is when you're using a handle and a hashtag appropriately. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you is, when you are sharing your handles and your hashtags, and you want to get the most out of your hashtags, is be brief with your hashtag. The shorter your hashtag is for your unique hashtag, the more people are going to use it, because they only have a certain amount of time and length in their hashtags on Twitter. Create it early and use it often, building towards your event, and be strategic in your hashtags. So one of the other things you want to do for an event is create your own lists, as I said, one of partners, one of exhibitors, one of sponsors, one of influencers. So what you're going to do is you're going to go in first and find all their handles and like them, and follow them. Okay, so you're going to follow their accounts. First thing you're going to do is follow all of your partners, all your exhibitors, all your sponsors, all your influencers. Then you're going to turn those into lists, your sponsors. Maybe you have prize winners too. So maybe you have prize winners as well along the way if you're building buzz. That would be cool to have a list of prize winners, but definitely your speakers, if you're going to have speakers at your virtual conference or live conference, and definitely your exhibitors. You want to have lists of all of them. Schedule your buzz, nothing different. You got your 3-month calendar, and you want to look at your calendar as always and schedule your buzz towards your event, past photos, past videos, contests along the way. Use the hashtag every time you post, and tag your photos appropriately and support your community in between. So the most powerful weapon at your event is your cell phone. During the event, you should really try and get someone who is going to live tweet for you versus if you're hosting the event, you're letting people onto your virtual platform and you're also trying to tweet, it's impossible. So it'd be really cool if you can find someone that's going to tweet for you or have that same person also be on Instagram if your target audience is on both Instagram and on Twitter. So that's about it. And I just wanted to end with the fact that I'm going to be doing some virtual trade show webinars next year as well. I've already completed some for some of my clients, and I thought it would be nice to share that as some of our public webinars as well. So if you're attending a webinar, a virtual trade show as an attendee, you're going to do different things than if you're attending as an exhibitor or if you're attending as a sponsor. So these are things that you need to do to get the most out of a trade show that you're going to that happens to be virtual, and whether you're attending as an attending or if you're in there as a boothie. So there's certain things that you need to do, and that's what we're going to do at our next webinar in 2021. Um, it's pretty exciting actually. It's kind of straightforward. It's kind of what you would do if you're going to a live trade show. It's once you think about it, it's fairly intuitive, but there are certain steps that you need to do, and I'll be glad to share those with you. So thank you again for attending this webinar today, and I'm hoping that if you would like, you could put out there what you think some of the biggest aha and learning points were for you, and just tweet it out. Use my handle, and I'll enter you to win an hour with me. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.